Well, hey, Curt and Jen, our podcast every weekday, actually not every weekday, 3 weekdays, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thanks for joining us this morning. It's just me this time. It's just Curt because Jen is enjoying a little vacation time. She claimed she'd be back for the show today, but then I talked to her yesterday and she's like, I want one more day of vacation. Fine. No problem whatsoever. So she'll be back on Friday. In the meantime, you're stuck with just me. So let's get this whole thing underway. And I should say, our question from Monday, our question of the day, was basically you're on a 12-hour road trip and you can only listen to one artist, one musical person, vocalist, artist, band, whatever, the entire 12 hours. Who do you pick? Lots of answers to get through today. So yeah, let's get underway with it here. And Great Pumpkin Waltz from It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown, leads into, apparently it's officially pumpkin spice season. This is at least according to Krispy Kreme. Krispy Kreme has determined that since they just started selling a bunch of pumpkin spice stuff, Krispy Kreme is saying pumpkin spice season starts when we say it does. Our pumpkin spice collection is here. If you're interested, by the way, you can get the original pumpkin spice glazed donut available just through this week, apparently. And then there's some other pumpkin spice stuff they put back on the menu. Do you think the pumpkin spice thing has gotten out of hand? Because I actually see a good use for the pumpkin spice thing. How about, nobody's thought of this, or have they? Veggies, pumpkin spice veggies. You want to get your kids to eat their vegetables, pumpkin spice asparagus, pumpkin spice flavored Brussels sprouts. They'll eat it all up, right? I mean, and it doesn't have to be just this time of year. Actually, I guess it is just in October. It used to be just October. Now we've got August, September, and October for your pumpkin spice stuff. Enjoy. Right. Bad joke. I will start with, this is a story that sucks. The debate about how long toddlers and babies should use pacifiers. Of course, that's kind of up to the parents. There's a new age group that's entered the chat, full-grown adults using pacifiers for various reasons. I believe DK Metcalf on the Seahawks used to use a pacifier instead of a mouth guard. Now, besides him, this adult using pacifiers, I guess it started in China and it spread, and now it's here in the United States. Adults claiming that using a pacifier provides psychological comfort. It helps sleep, it helps quit smoking, it helps reduce stress, can even help with breathing. But medical professionals are saying, maybe not. They warn that using pacifiers over long periods of time could cause pain when chewing, could change the position of your teeth over time. There's a choking risk if you are sleeping and you inhale it. So the psychologists say about the psychological reasons, the real reason is just to treat the problem head on instead of avoiding it. The real solution, they say, is not to treat themselves as a child, but to face the challenge directly and solve it. So if you see adults running around using pacifiers, you know why. I don't think it's a TikTok challenge as much as that's where they're posting their videos. I don't know. Now, is there any medical issues with wearing like a giant onesie covered in duckies and bunnies to get in touch with your infantile roots instead of the dangers of the pacifier? I don't know, but I guess look for people in giant onesies as well.
I hear the train a-coming, it's rolling round the bend, and I ain't seen the sunshine, and I don't know when.
I guess this comes from
prison, and time keeps dragging on.
Stupid news. 24-year-old guy in Austria, this was over the weekend, barely escaped death. He was on a cigarette break waiting for a high-speed train, and this is in Austria. The incident occurred this past weekend. The railjet service bound for Zurich began to move off. This guy was on a cigarette break, and he didn't get to the train in time to get on it, so he jumped. He leapt in between two carriages as the train departed, right between the two cars there, hanging on for dear life. Passengers saw this dude He drew attention to himself by banging on the train's windows. So the conductor, he pressed an emergency brake and everything stopped. Now, had he not done that, these trains get up to about 140 miles per hour. Didn't we see something like that in one of the Mission Impossibles? I think we saw Tom Cruise hanging onto a high-speed train. But in real life, I don't think it turns out as well. And that's just another one of the, since he didn't get to finish his cigarette, right? We don't know if he did. Another one of the dangers of smoking. Smoking is bad for you, especially if you jump on a fast-moving train. I like this one. I like this story, and maybe this will be helpful. And I think I kind of agree with it on just a quick read. If your relationship needs some help, or even if it doesn't, relationship does not have to be on the rocks for this to work out. There was a study done, and it found that couples that gossip together tend to be happier and have better relationships overall. They had 76 couples in this study. They agreed to have their conversations recorded throughout the day. All right. And then researchers found that people spend an average of about 38 minutes, almost 40 minutes a day gossiping. And nearly all of those minutes are spent gossiping with a significant other. They're kind of our biggest partner in crime, the significant other. The researchers think that the gossiping together makes us closer because it's a form of emotional bonding, or it reinforces the idea that you're on the same team. It doesn't matter, by the way, if it's positive or negative gossip, they say. Negatively gossiping with one's romantic partner on the way home from a party could signal that the couple's bond is stronger than with their friends at the party, right? So gossip away, I guess. There was a comedian one time that was talking about relationships and how the best relationships work, and said, I can't remember who it was, said, it's not about having the same likes, liking the same things. It's about hating the same things. And I thought about that, and more often than not, don't we get a kick out of talking about the things that we hate together, or you hate something that somebody did? I know it sounds kind of mean, and if Jen were here, she'd say, that's mean-spirited, which, I don't know. But you know what? You talk about gossiping. Since she can't be here to defend herself, you look at Jen Purack, yeah? Our question of the day from Monday, 12-hour road trip, and you can only listen to one artist on this entire road trip, okay? Who's it going to be, is the question. Who's it going to be? And I think, what did I offer up? I think I said I'd like to listen to EDM or techno type music because that just is like, in my opinion, driving music, right? Driving music, yeah. You got a solid, steady beat there, about 31 beats a minute, 35. That's pretty fast. So you guys really, you really did it this time. We have so many to go through. I'm going to try to do this quickly. But we do want to get to everybody here. 12-hour road trip, so you can only listen to one artist that entire time. Who are you listening to? Jody said first thoughts were either Prince or David Bowie. Fine choices. Let me just say something else here, too. I was actually really surprised and pleased. There were very few repeats on here. And there's probably 60 people that chimed in on this or more, and very few repeats. So you guys are very eclectic in your music taste. Jeff said Bob Ross, the guy that paints the happy little trees. I think that would put me to sleep. I don't know if that'd be good for a long road trip. Our friend Garrett, Guided by Voices, a band you've probably never heard of, but he is a big fan of, Guided by Voices. Robert said Def Leppard. Tim, 12-hour road trip. Who are you listening to? A toss-up between Bob Dylan, the Beatles, Santana, Diana Krall, people like that. Kevin said Pink Floyd, The Wall by Pink Floyd would cover about half the trip. Our friend Kirby said Toby Keith or Kim Wilde. Those seem to be on opposite sides of the entire spectrum, right? More 12-hour road trip. You can only listen to one artist. Ken said Slim Whitman. Remember the Indian Love Call by Slim Whitman? That was in the movie Mars Attacks. That was the song they played to make the Martians' heads explode. Pilar and Bob, Eric Clapton. Good choice. Corey said Elton John. Tad chimed in with U2. That'd be great on a 12-hour trip. And there's certainly enough material there, right? Both Terry and Kathy. Terry said, I would go with my man Jimmy Buffett. Rest in peace. Michael, an Australian friend of mine, said Midnight Oil, an Australian band. Louis Linguini, our fabulous guitar player friend, says it's an easy one for me. Van Halen. I would listen to Van Halen the entire time. Jessica went with Queen. Fantastic. It's Cheryl also said Queen or the Eagles. And then we have more Eagles votes. I think the Eagles got the most overall. I think about 5 people said the Eagles. Brad also said the Eagles. That way I can listen to Don Henley, Glenn Fry, Joe Walsh, Vince Gill, and Don Felder's solos. All right. The Eagles. Steve said the Eagles as well. Jennifer with ABBA, which, they have enough material to cover 12 hours. We had Karina says ABBA or Brad Paisley, great country artist, guitar player. Our friend Rich, said very little known band named Love Dart from Detroit, which would have been the band that I was in as guitarist and vocalist. So thanks for that plug for Love Dart, Rich. Curt said Steely Dan or Journey. Good picks. Travis, who is in New Orleans area. My ADD extends the music. I can barely make it through an entire album for most artists, but I'm going to pick the Beatles, is what he said. Maybe just because the songs are general. The early Beatles albums, the songs were 2.5 minutes long? Good for somebody with ADD. Merity also said the Beatles and said the Beatles or Pink Floyd. Another Floyd vote. Our friend Jody, a different Jody from before, the Beatles or Billy Joel. If you haven't seen the new Billy Joel documentary, it's called And So It Goes. Give yourself some time. The whole thing, it's in 2 parts and it's 5 hours total, 2.5 hours in 2 parts. So give yourself some time. It's fantastic, though. Connie also said Billy Joel. Kevin, who I believe is in Fort Lauderdale area, Florida, said he would listen to Rush 2112 4 times over, which makes it 2112, 8448. Tracy said if she was on a 12-hour road trip, one artist she would listen to only would be Styx. Jennifer said One Republic. There's one that, do they have 12 hours of music yet? I suppose they do. And, you can repeat songs too, right? Bob, the first program director that hired me at KRUI back in 1980, whatever it was, said Paul Simon or Susanna Hoffs. Susanna Hoffs was the lead singer of the Bangles and has had actually a really solid solo career on her own. And also she's done some covers with Matthew Sweet. Scott said Leonard Skinner. Amanda's favorite artist is Matt Nathanson. So she said Matt Nathanson, of course. We had a couple votes for Depeche Mode as the artist you listened to for 12 hours. DJ Trent Vaughn said that. Rebecca also said Depeche Mode. Barb, the Moody Blues. There's a deep whole bunch of songs there for you. Tall Paul said Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yes, I like that. John with U2. Rick said REM. And here again, see how varied this list is? Carrie said, if I'm by myself, it's Jimmy Buffett. With my husband, it would be Dave Matthews. Lynn, 12 hours by myself in a car, listening to Mozart. Certainly enough music for Mozart. Actually, one Mozart concerto might last for 12. No, that's not that long. We have Sierra says Taylor Swift or the Dixie Chicks. All right, yeah. See, there's no wrong answer here. Although some of you are going, no way. I know. Yeah, okay, there are wrong answers. Halsey said Alex Warren or Benson Boone, local boy Benson Boone, who likes to do backflips. Front flips, just flips. Andrea said Taylor Swift is the only correct answer. Wrong, but that's her correct answer. Jody, another Jody indeed, says James Taylor. We have Heather with Alice in Chains. Hadn't thought about that one before. That's good. Sonia likes Coldplay for 12 hours. James says Bruce. Just one long Bruce. And then Nancy also said Bruce Springsteen. Michael said Pink with an exclamation point for the I. Pink, yep. Anne Marie says George Michael, who doesn't get enough credit, I think, didn't get enough credit, is an awesome pop songwriter. When he did his second album, and I think he was trying to depart a little bit from the first album, he's like, I wanted more, be taken more seriously. I was like, you write great pop songs, man. Keep doing that. Jeanette says Eric Church with a little swoon in parentheses. Phil, Fleetwood Mac for 12 hours. Marilyn Reed says ZZ Top. Zolanda says Michael Jackson. And finally, Jan said Kenny Rogers. I cannot believe how varied all these suggestions were. I love it. This may be the most reaction we've got from one of our questions of the day ever. So thank you so much. It's still posted. A 12-hour road trip. You can only listen to one artist. Who are you listening to? And you can add your own, obviously. Let's put these on for a second. And let us know what you think. And we'll have a brand new question of the day coming up here, shortly, I guess. Yeah. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin fame, actually out on the road now, has a new band called Saving Grace, who will be here actually at the Moore Theater November 18th. You want to go see Robert Plant rather. Tickets are on sale now for that. So far, they've been playing just a few Led Zeppelin songs. They've been playing like the Rain song and Ramble On. Great songs, but don't expect Robert Plant to sing some of their other hits. He says, Robert, to do it for the sake of it was never what Led Zeppelin was about. Not sure I understand that. Robert Plant says, quote, where were the hits? How can they be related to now? Where do they fit in? They fit as sort of a memoir. When people say that I don't like Stairway to Heaven, it's not true. I just don't like the idea of it, these iconic things. Followed by, that's just the way they are. But, most people have missed some of the best Zeppelin stuff, talking about things from Presence, like Achilles' Last Stand. Just extraordinary that three people and a singer could do that, which is true. Great Led Zeppelin songs. Finally, he says, Robert Plant, I don't decry it. I've got nothing against it. I just found that these other places that are so rich, I guess he means the other songs that he wants to play here. So if you're hoping to hear a whole lot of Zeppelin tunes and you go see Robert Plant, maybe just a couple and maybe not the hits, but it's still going to be a great show, I'm sure. So, you may have heard the eastern half of the country has been having a lot of heat issues, I guess, for lack of better terms. A lot of heat. Well into summer now. And I know we have some listeners from the eastern part of the country. The eastern half of the U.S. having its muggiest summer since 1981. So about 40 years, give or take, a little bit more than that. Stretches from the Mississippi Valley to the East Coast. 22 entire states plus Washington, D.C. have had they had set at least 44-year highs. There you go, 44 years. Dew point temperatures are a measure of how much moisture is in the air, and they have soared into sauna-like highs. So when you hear these people talking about the heat wave, it's for reals, right? Scientists say it's an effect of climate change and fossil fuel pollution, and corn sweat is also a factor. There's also been a second most humid summer. I mean, this has also been the second most humid summer in the U.S. as a whole, dating back to 1981. That was the original, what we said. The average dew point temperature for June and July has slowly risen throughout the past 4 decades. So that's not a record necessarily that we wanted to set, but there you go. And be thankful that we're on this coast where we're not having all those issues. Some people got no reason. Some people got no reason. Kevin Hart. Comedian Kevin Hart is going to be teaming up with Netflix for a new competition series to find the next big stand-up comedian, no pun intended, because he's short. He'll be joined by a group of comics who will announce they'll be announced at a later date. Netflix says the contestants will, quote, face rigorous tests that mirror the real-life journey of a comedian, from brutal open mic nights, for example, that bombed maybe, and rewrites to the pressure of big stage performances. It's going to follow all that stuff. Here's a quote. The competition will give viewers an unvarnished look at comedy's darkest corners and brightest spotlights, with challenges inspired by some of the comics' actual career trajectories. Show doesn't have a title yet, but there will be 8 episodes. At least that's what's planned with this Netflix series. Again, Kevin Hart, new Netflix competition series about comedians. It is set to come out sometime next year. I would actually look forward to that, because they had Last Comic Standing. That was another competition for that. But this sounds really good. And yeah. And I think Kevin Hart's kind of funny, actually. Should mention again that we're hoping that Jen will be back here for Friday's show. She's going to be. I miss her. But thank you for tuning in today for the solo Curt Cruz project that's going on. For the love of money, right? Arizona iced tea, famous for... they're famous for their 99-cent, price of iced. It's actually on the bottle itself, printed directly onto its tall cans of iced tea, not the bottle, the cans. So you can't change it when it's actually printed right on the can, right? You can't change the price. So the 99-cent iced tea price from Arizona Iced Tea might be increasing for the first time in decades. For more than 30 years, that's how long this has been going on. For more than 30 years, the beloved beverage held strong for its, they held strong to their low price tag, surviving not just the pandemic, but supply chain issues and recessions. Unfortunately now, we'll see if this changes, but the new 50% tariffs on imported aluminum could lead to a price increase, according to Arizona Iced Tea. About 100 million pounds of aluminum are used to form a batch of Arizona Iced Tea's signature cans. All right, 20% of that aluminum comes from Canada. That's where the tariffs come into it. The other 80% is made from recycled material in the U.S., but the added cost for the rest of the aluminum is putting pressure on the band to raise the brands to raise their prices. Again, Arizona Iced Tea, the company's founder and chairman, said they might be forced to raise their 99-cent price unless a deal is made to lower the aluminum tariffs in Canada. We knew this was going to happen, right? With the tariffs, prices are going to go up. The company's founder said, "I hate even the thought of it. It would be a hell of a shame after 30 plus years of Arizona Iced Tea being just 99 cents. We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully it won't come down to that, right? A little bit of a short program today because we are already to our question of the day at the 21-minute mark. I think that's a new record. What is your favorite line from any movie? And I know this might be another one like with the question we answered today. Your what would you listen to music-wise? 12-hour trip. Got to narrow it down to one favorite line from any movie. And at the top of my head, I'm just going to go with, and some of you are already thinking this, I bet. Shawshank Redemption, Get Busy Living or Get Busy Dying. Classic line. Written by Stephen King, actually. You know, the whole Shawshank Redemption comes from a short story by Stephen King. But what's your favorite line from any movie? If I asked my wife, Dana, it might be something from Legally Blonde. You know, and you can find great lines from any movie. It doesn't have to be a, Oscar winner or a classic or anything like that. Something that touched you, emotionally or whatever. Your favorite line from any movie is what we want to know. And, you can see that on our Facebook pages, both the Curt and Jen page, my personal page. Try to get on Jen's personal page as well. What is your favorite line from any movie? That is your question of the day for next time. So thank you so much for listening. I know it was a little short today. Maybe short on material, short on content. Or maybe I just rushed through it. I don't know, because I need to get some coffee, right? Appreciate it. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, listen in for Curt and Jen in our podcast. Thank you so much for liking and following and subscribing and all that stuff. And we have to sign off with, until next time, right? Make good choices, find joy, spread kindness, and laugh. And thank you so much for being a part of this.